Do you see the peak of that mountain there? Well, there is a taller mountain behind it. And today, that is our goal. At the top of that mountain is apparently what is supposed to be one of Japan's most beautiful shrine gates. A shrine in the sky. And we are going to climb this mountain all the way up to that. Now, I have no idea how long this is going to be or what to expect, but I have been told that it is a very steep climb. And so, welcome to 1 million seconds traveling Japan. We're gonna try and take it at a moderately relaxed pace, but I'm actually already pretty impressed with how steep this is. Unfortunately, this kind of thing never really shows up on camera, but I've climbed Mount Fuji and most of it isn't even this steep. Luckily, looks like it levels off a little bit here, but we started down there and whoo, this is gonna be a fun one. This climb should be one of the most rewarding that we've done so far, but will certainly require a bit of patience, a few breaks along the way, and a bit of determination. You know, I know that doing this hike while talking and telling stories most certainly adds to the challenge, but there's just so much to share along the way. This is our first switchback. Whew. Not entirely. And got a healthy heart rate going as we go up here. Now, I climbed Mount Fuji before starting YouTube. It was a lovely experience until you get close to the top. You see, there are multiple routes that you can take up Mount Fuji. And when you get closer to the top, a lot of those routes start to merge. And when the routes merge, they get incredibly crowded. Like last train on the Yamanote line on a Thursday, Friday night crowded. And so you find yourself actually standing around waiting for your turn to join the line. Now, everyone says that climbing Mount Fuji is not the hard part. It's the easy part. Just requires some pacing, some proper breathing, and a bit of patience. But going down is the hard part. And having climbed Mount Fuji, I can tell you that that is 100% the case. We've got a small shrine gate right here on this landing. Now, oh, there we are. Before climbing up this section with you guys, I'd actually already been climbing for about 15 minutes up a fairly steep hill to the base where a shrine is, kind of at the base of the mountain. That is mostly a car road, and so I wanted to get us into this section. So at this point, I've been climbing for a good 20 or so minutes on my end, and have only come across 2 other people, but there is a way to reach the top by car. I figured that would deprive us of the opportunity to have and see this experience, and so I wanted to climb this one together. Now, I figure this is as good a time as any to share a bit of a backstory on the channel. So this is so nice. Every single one of these is just, here we go. But they are, honestly, I really wish that the camera could pick up how steep they are, because it most certainly does not. And there we go. Got another set of people here coming down from the top. Hi there. And around we go again. So when I was on Mount Fuji, we had a friend with us who recently, when my channel hit 1 million subscribers over on TOKYOLENS, oh, that's a climb. He was kind enough to participate in throwing a rather surprising and large congratulations party. That, see, I'm not good with surprises and surprise parties, and my inner circle knows that. And so the level of like caution, trepidation, and like are we good when I walked into the surprise party, I was like, surprise. And he, on that Mount Fuji climb, you see, I had done weeks of prep for that climb. I was doing stairs every single day, some like 36 floors of a office building every single day. And sometimes I would do it twice on my lunches. And he was like, oh yeah, I haven't done any prep for this, so please let me take it easy. Let me go at my pace. I was like, well, if you haven't really prepped, what's your strategy? And he's like, I'm gonna focus on my breathing, keep my breathing at an even pace. And I'm gonna basically pace my breathing and kind of meditate my way up the mountain. At the time, I thought it was, I was like, it's an interesting strategy. You're gonna breathe your way up the mountain. We'll see how that goes. We get to the top of the mountain, and while I sit down, I'm like, whew, good climb. Time to take a little bit of a break. And I'm like trying to catch my breath. He's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go and explore the area a bit. I'll see you in a little while. He just hops off like it's nothing. I will say, being able to control your breathing and pace yourselves for these is most certainly key. I definitely underestimated at the time, but it became a really great life lesson on the importance of breathing when you're under some form of duress, getting the right amount of oxygen. Now, the way down Mount Fuji, well, that was filled with its own struggles and mistakes, and gave birth to a large part of the channel. You see, we were about 30 minutes down what was meant to be, I think, a 3.5 to 4 hour descent. I had a brand new pair of hiking boots with me at the time. Yoicho! And had made it up the mountain in comfort with zero issue, no blisters, they're broken in, ready to go. And on our way down, there is kind of like volcanic sand that you can kind of almost like foot ski through and just slide your way down the mountain. We saw a couple other people doing it, including some like older, experienced looking travelers. And we're like, okay, that looks like a pretty good way to do this. Let's do that. And so we started sliding through the volcanic sand, which was all well and good until about 20-30 minutes into the descent. I hit a very large and very sharp volcanic rock with the toe of my boot, which sliced and ripped the sole clean off the boot. The sole went flying and went off to the side, and I was left with a broken toe and half of a boot with about 3.5 to 4 hours left on our descent. Well, I've mentioned many times that the TOKYOLENS and TOKYOLENS Explore channels are kind of like a project in positivity for me. Let me see a little bit of a view out there. But as we get higher, the view will get better and better. But that also gives you a peek at just... We started about maybe 1/4 of the way up that. And with... You see, I'm naturally less of a wonderful, positive, bubbly person, and like many out there, I have tendencies towards overthinking, stress, knee-jerk negative reactions. I have that exact same human side that any person watching this has. The only difference is that other humans, some humans, have managed to find a system within them to manage or control that. And my system for that was to build these channels as a way of forcing myself and training myself. I don't like the word forcing. As a way of training myself to take a more positive outlook. Because for a while I was defaulting into, well, this is negative, this is bad, I complain. And that's not healthy, it's not good. And the only world that really matters is the world that you create inside of your own head. And so these channels have given me the opportunity to constantly seek out positivity as much as possible. Positivity in the locations I go to, positivity in the adventures I have, in the people I meet, the stories I tell. And no matter how bad things go along the way, and sometimes they go absolutely awfully, but no matter how bad it gets, I have this deal with myself that I will find the most positive way of viewing it and move forward with that in mind. And that has brought us to where we are now. And unfortunately, that was not learned until well after the Mount Fuji climb. You see, positivity, I've said it before, is kind of like a muscle. You need to exercise it regularly, and at the beginning it'll tire out a lot more. Let's zoom in and take a bit of a peek here. But the more you exercise it and the more you stick with it, the easier and easier it'll get. And it doesn't mean that you're suddenly a magical positive person. Just like somebody who finally builds muscle after years of work, if they do not maintain that muscle, it'll fall off. And so while I'm building this positivity, I get to practice both building and maintaining. And it's really changed my outlook on the world. And I think there are far too many people out there who can relate to this. Even when I share this with people within my inner circle, they mention how, it can be really difficult in any situation, from getting on a crowded train in the morning to getting stuck at too many red lights. All of these things are opportunities for stress and negativity. And look at this. We're like right at the edge too. It feels like we could just fall off into the city, but we are going to keep going. And so if you are with me on that, if you struggle through a similar, difficulty remaining positive, and you tend to default to the negative and feel more stress than you want to in a lot of these situations, then do not worry. It is not just you. And there is another shrine down in this direction, but then we'd be climbing down and back up. So we're gonna keep going this way. Wow. What? No way. According to this, because there was a sign, if I'm not mistaken, down below, I didn't actually read it, I just kind of glanced, that said we were 1,000 meters, about a kilometer away from the shrine, and already in this short bit we've covered half of that. I may be climbing a little faster than I thought, but it also looks like it's really evened out here, so I'm happy for that. But how all of this ties into the Mount Fuji story is when I broke that boot. You see, I didn't realize at first that my toe was broken, and so I went to retrieve the broken segment of boot so that I could somehow try to reattach it. And I did. And along the way, every step was excruciatingly painful. And I remember screaming and I got to the section of the boot and realized I'm gonna need to put this back together. And so I had to take off my boot, and I noticed my toe was incredibly swollen. Took off my sock, and it was at that point that between the swollenness, how it felt inside, and the incredible range of colors that we had developed, that I had most certainly broken that toe. And again, there is another shrine off to the side here, but again, onwards and upwards we will carry on. And it was at this moment, realizing that my toe was broken, if you have kids in the room, maybe cover their ears for a second, I said, "Fuck everything, always." And this, for some reason, I guess just the passion at which I said it with, and the fact that you could most certainly hear it in the towns down below Mount Fuji, at the volume I said it at, had my friends in absolute stitches laughing. And there I was near the top of Mount Fuji, screaming everything always at the top of my lungs. And you could hear it echoing through the valleys and towns below. And this became a kind of my trademark phrase. Anytime anything went terribly, Norm said, "Everything always." And my friends around me expected it. We all had a good laugh. It became this way to vent and still have a good laugh at things. And after a couple years of saying that, I realized I had trained my mindset to like kind of think in that way, to have this negative reaction is okay. Negative reaction is the base. And we've got a bit of a long stretch right here. There we go. So just stick on this straightaway for a while. And luckily, the blue skies contrasted against the green really make it. The birds in the background really add to it. And after years of training myself to have this knee-jerk negative reaction mindset, which was already naturally a part of my personality, but I just ingrained it so much more deeply in myself. You know, when I started YouTube, I was like, you know what? I have to get out of this mindset. You see, I tried starting YouTube once before I actually started. I think I made a couple of vlogs. I made like a channel intro and stuff like that. And then I just stopped for years. And part of it was, all of it was difficult and frustrating and was not, whoa, we almost went down there. This is all actually very muddy and slippery in here. So I'm trying to hang up along the edges when I can. But I do not want to be going down again. And so getting into YouTube, when I restarted, I realized if I'm gonna do this, there has to be a goal for myself behind it, and not like a goal of like how many subs we reach or, you know, any of that stuff. I need to have a goal that will actually add to three things: my life, the life of those around me, like my inner circle, and anybody who would choose to watch the videos. And as I thought, I came across a new phrase that kind of unlocked the mindset and aligned the values of the channel. I thought that was a snake at first. That is just a really big worm. Whew. And that statement was explore everything, always. Explore every location I can. I'd been in the country for so long without the opportunity to properly travel outside of the tourist trail. If I was gonna fall in love with this country again, and if I was going to make the best of my time here, I needed to have no boundaries. And so explore everything always encapsulated the locations, concepts, everything from electronics and nature to aging populations, earthquakes, disasters, tsunamis, boat training, flight training, everything else along the way. Exploring people, the lives of different people, going out and finding people who lived in abandoned villages to hear their stories, finding hermits who still lived in otherwise abandoned villages to share their history on their last year in their village, learning about shop owners under the tracks and sharing their stories. Actually, Shimuyama-san and his little shop under the tracks of Akihabara Station. I said it at the time, but he's one of the most positive things that ever happened to me in Japan before, like long before I even actually like officially moved here. And it was just him, me with my bad Japanese, going and visiting him and chatting once every couple weeks with no intention or need to buy anything in his shop. But he was such a kind and welcoming person that I loved stopping to chat with him. And after 14, 15 years of that, we just kind of built up this casual relationship, friendship. Ooh, we got the ocean on this side. And that led to, when he shut down his shop, us being able to kind of do what we did and take it over and rebuild it. And honestly, a lot of people are like, well, what are you going to do with the shop? It's a good question. I don't know. The shop may eventually disappear. If it's ever to be moved out of my studio, it's going to need to be torn down in order to do so. It can't be done the way it is. It doesn't fit through any door, any window, balcony, nothing. And honestly, it was less about having the shop and more about having the reminder. You see, without sharing this whole, positivity journey, it was kind of hard to really get people to understand conceptually why I would want that in my office every day. It now serves as storage for a lot of my parts. And I actually do a lot of electronic projects. Like, I have these lights that I've wired up in my office that anytime anyone enters any of the restricted areas outside, they light up and go kind of flicker in the office, so we know when someone's outside. And are we almost there? We're into a set of stairs now. But having Shimoyama-san's shop there is just a reminder of how something positive, somebody being so kind and welcoming every day, what that can do for somebody. And what it did for me was make me feel like I was actually welcome in this country. To have somebody, even when I couldn't speak Japanese, just reference, we came down this way, who would be that kind and just chat with me all the time with zero expectations, was a huge plus, and kind of changed my world for me. And so sharing his story was the real goal of getting that shop. I wanted to have the opportunity to immortalize the work that he had done there. He'd been in other documentaries decades ago, but oh, we got a little lizard over here. He's poking his head out to say hello a bit. Well, there he is. These guys are actually kind of curious sometimes. Hi. How's it going? See, he doesn't instantly run away. I'm sure if we get too much closer, he's actually coming towards us. No way. Hi. It's amazing that he'd actually come closer and not further. Wow. He's just coming right up to say hello. Hi. Oh, man, he runs quick though. Good on him. Okay, I crossed my boundaries. I apologize. Have a good day, buddy. And this set of steps is spectacular. I'm going to go ahead and give this a solid 9 out of 10, just because of all the leaves. And feels like it would be a little treacherous in the wetter seasons. I don't think I would want to do any of this hike if it was wet or rainy, but get all these people up here now. It just seems like the ultimate spot. As we get closer, usually it's gonna be one side for up and one side for down. We kind of got people on both sides, so we'll just try to maintain the best distance that we can along the way, because going down the stairs is so much harder. こんにちは。頑張って。ありがとうございます。Going down the stairs is so much harder than going up and has so much more risk. So we're almost there though. You can see the torii gate up there. Despite the hike wasn't anywhere near as difficult as I thought it was. The initial section was much steeper than the rest of it, so it starts out hard and then kind of gives you a chance to take a break on your way down. Not your way down, I guess in the second half. So, but that is how I came up with the explore everything always. And during the pandemic, when I was getting out and about more, I wanted to put together something that kind of represented TOKYOLENS. But I also wanted, you know, the opportunity to work up towards something. And so that is why initially, I put out the Explore Always merch. You see, for me, it was more than just having a bunch of t-shirts or sweaters that said Explore Always. I wear them myself as kind of that daily reminder of what this goal is. And I wanted to still have something that we could work up towards, a new level that we could unlock, the final official form. And that final official form is Explore Everything Always. And so when the channel rolled over to 1 million subscribers, that's when I decided to release the Explore Everything Always line. And this 1 million seconds traveling Japan is kind of the start point of that. In fact, as I'm recording this, I don't even think any of it is available yet. But now here we are at the top of the Torii, and as we turn around, we're gonna get the view of views. There it is, guys. Look at that. Oh, that is truly spectacular. Let's get up a little higher on the stairs so we can look down on it a bit. This is a beautiful view. Look at that, guys. I kind of want to loop around a little bit and find some other vantage points and explore this area a bit. And you may be looking at the crowd up here and being like, well, did all of these people just make that climb? And no, not necessarily. Let's make our way up to the actual shrine itself. Oh, there's a vending machine. We gotta take a quick peek at what would be in the vending machine at the top of a mountain. Okay. There's udon dashi. You've got little omamori in there. You've got snacks, Emma, little fish. Okay. Huh. Very, very interesting. But most of these people would have actually came from the parking lot that is behind here. Because there is another route to reach this place. And that, wow, that space really, really filled up. And the other route to reach this is to drive up the road and come from up behind the shrine itself and then just walk 5 minutes across flat road. Ooh, we can go under. Yes. I don't want to duck because otherwise I'm gonna smack my head. I've been driving a tiny camper van for the past, well, the entirety of this adventure. And it is not my first time to use this camper van, but I always forget that it is a K camper van and repeatedly smack my head off the inside when opening the trunk from behind, when being inside of it. Just, you think I would learn after the first 10 or so times, but nope, keep doing it. I want to take one more peek at this shrine, because that's really what this hike was all about. Oh, and this is dry ground and I'm still slipping, so that is a huge group of people. They must have come in a bus. And then this little area here leads down to the parking lot that this leads to. But let's go take a peek. That is quite the handful of people, and with a torii gate as beautiful as this, it is completely understandable why. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this walk, this climb up the mountain. There's so much energy with it. Let's take just a moment to appreciate this. Everybody posing for their beautiful pictures. I think I'm actually gonna hang out up here for a little while, enjoy the view. Thank you guys so much for joining today. And you know, I will see you again real soon. Explore everything.